What is up, YouTube Chaz here, and today I'm here with Philip.
What up?
What's up? So, you went top 4 with an interesting deck at the locals of Winterthur last Sunday. With which deck?
With Neos.
Neos. Let's
Yes.
go. Crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, well, let's check out your deck profile then.
Yes, I will show it. I played 2 Neos. This is basically my stand for my JoJo watchers, you know. Then 2 Spirit of Neos. This card is really good. He says like when he's special summoned, you can get like any spell trap from your deck that specifically lists an elemental hero name. So he's like your main component for your combos.
Yep.
Then 2 Stratos, classic. But in most Neos builds you only play 1. But for me, my goal for my deck was like I wanted to max out the consistency. So I always try to either have a second one for the spell trap removal or the search. Then 1 Shadow Mist, it's also really good. It's a nice combo with her. Then 1 Blazeman. Blazeman is also really nice. Most hero players opt out for the Vision Hero package.
Yeah.
But spoiler alert, this deck is just pure Jaden Yuki elemental hero goodness.
Crazy.
And Blazeman specifically is really good because with a hero lives you can get out Blazeman and get in poly instantly, and he avoids Shifter
Yeah.
in comparison with Vion. Because if for Vion you need to dump like Shadow Mist first and then have to banish a hero and get poly.
Exactly.
This is why Blazeman is better. Then 1 Liquid Soldier. He's just like your graceful charity in your deck, which is really nice, and he allows you to go into your water heroes. And then my crazy tech is that nobody plays, even the Neos heroes community, they don't play this card, but I opt out for another Neos, aka Neos Alias, because on field and graveyard he is a normal monster. And I got 2 key fusion monsters in my extra deck who need the normal monster to fusion summon. And he's really good because like most Neos builds nowadays they run like a Dark Armed Dragon or like an Armed Dragon in general to go into your Armed Neos. I played this version before, but it felt too cloggy for me. Yes, the Armed Neos makes the Neos fusion really good in the deck. But if you draw Armed Neos, it gets really awkward, so I tried to look for another way. And with Neos Alias, what's really good about him, he's a hero by name, so you can pitch him for the other combo pieces, or you can use him as a fusion material. Or like I said, you can fuse him because of the 2 other monsters who need like a normal monster specifically in the deck. So he's really great in that, he came really up clutch in the tournament. Then 1 Aqua Dolphin, I just play 1 Neospatian. Most people play 3 because of the turn skip. But what I found out from previous events and tournaments is like, yes, that turn skip is really nice when you can go into it, but it takes so much dedication and so much resources to go into that. So if you run into like 3 interruptions, like second turn, it's most late when it doesn't come through. And this is why like the whole theme of the deck is like consistency. And Aqua Dolphin is really good from all of the Neospatians because he gets you hand knowledge.
Yeah.
And I have like some cards who can like special summon this guy out like for free and then recycle him, so you can like hand loop the opponent for 1 or 2 cards going first, which is really nice. And you can like dodge an Nibiru or dodge other hand traps with him. It's really nice. Then I only play 2 Crosskeeper. Most Neos players play 3. He does basically the same thing like Liquid Soldier, except by drawing 2 cards and then discarding 1, he puts 1 card under the deck, which is good. Like you can like recycle a brick under your deck again and get like free resources. The monster lineup is, I think it's 13. And now for the spell cards. These are all the engines. I play 3 Key and Shuffle. This card is super cracked in Neos. It basically says like non-target, you can shuffle back 1 elemental hero or 1 Neospatian from your field back to the deck to get 1 elemental hero or Neospatian from your deck out. And this is really good in many situations. I will explain later. And then the other Ian card is Ian Engage Neospace. This card is basically a custom card for Neo strategy, because this is like the best card you want to start with. This card says like, for cost you have to send one elemental hero and one Neospatian, either one from hand and one from deck, to the graveyard to get a mandatory polymerization surge from your graveyard or from your deck. And then you can special summon one level 7 or Neospatian monster, also level 7 hero monster and one Neospatian from your deck.
Oh, crazy.
Yes, so this is like all your combo enabler. Then for the other starters, 3 hero lifts, standard in heroes in every build.
Yes.
It's also a great bait for Ash, because all of the engine cards in this deck is like all gas.
Yep.
And then 3 e-calls, it's also really good. Want to see it. Then 2 instant contacts. This card is also cracked in Neos, because this is basically a soft starter, because you can just cheat out a level 7 or lower elemental hero fusion monster from the extra deck, and if there is Neos on field or graveyard, it gets the effect and it doesn't get spun back in the extra deck.
Yeah.
And then for the fusion spells, I just play 1 Neos fusion. Most Neos players rarely play 1, they only play 2 or 3 max, but for me 1 is enough, because this deck doesn't focus around the turn skip. So I only have like 1 name, like Neospatian name, and then 1 Miracle Fusion and 1 Poly. It's a standard. Then for my non-engine cards, I play 2 Book of Moon. This card is really good, going first or second. I think I don't have to explain it.
Yeah.
And this deck goes first or second, it doesn't matter. But what I opt out for board break is just to draw no more. It's really nice. And I play 1 Talents and 1 Thrust, also really good. And then 1 Cold Buy, because Troll is a bitch. And 1 Fusion Deployment. This card is crazy, because you can either get like a free Aqua Dolphin just to hand loop and get like information, or at least force your opponent to do something just for an Aqua Dolphin, which is really nice. Or you can go instantly to your Neos, which is like the main guy you want to go in this build.
Yeah.
So I'm also thinking about playing 2, but for now 1 is perfectly fine. But I think, like I said, you don't want to draw like multiple copies of cards you can only activate once, so 1 was perfect. And then 1 Rota. It's self-explanatory, like everything is warrior. And then for trap cards, there's 2. 1 Fairy Contact. This card is super busted. This is basically like a revolt, but for heroes. This card says like you can fusion summon from anywhere, like from your banished zone, from your hand, from your graveyard, from your field. Put the materials underneath your deck, and then you can basically cheat out any extra deck monster that requires the fusion summon.
Yeah.
And what's also nice, if you use Elemental Hero Neos specifically, the monster you get out cannot be returned back to the extra deck.
Oh, no.
Which also means like it's a protection like for other cards, like from your opponents, that you cannot get spun back to your deck. So it's a really good card. And the last card, I play 41 cards. This is the 41 card. It's the new card, Protection of the Elements. This card is really nice because this is a counter trap. This is a spell trap Omni Negate for heroes. And you can search this card by Spirit of Neos, because Spirit of Neos says you can search any spell or trap card that mentions a hero specifically, and down the text down below says Terra Firma, so you can search this card. So for going first, this card is really great. And now for the extra deck, the 1 Spice card is Elemental Hero Grand Merge. He needs 2 normal monsters to fusion summon. Most hero players outlook this card, or like it's like a anime card or whatever, but what I found niche about this card is like it does basically the same as Armed Neos, because Armed Neos says when this card destroys a monster by battle, during the next main phase you can tribute summon this card and then special summon out any Elemental Hero fusion monster from your extra deck, so you can basically cheat it out. Then Sunrise, standard. He gets your Miracle Fusion, he's your protection, he's your interruption. He boosts your monsters, it's really nice. Then 1 Absolute Zero, also standard. Then my favorite card, the new Flame Wingman. This is your main go-to guy because he needs 2 elemental heroes with different attributes together. And then on summon, you can search or add from your deck or graveyard any card which has favorite in its name. So this card gets you into favorite contact.
Oh.
And you can even recycle favorite contact from your grave with him. Then the main boss monster is Shining Neos Wingman. This card is really busted because when this card gets summoned, you can destroy non-target any cards on the field your opponent controls up to the different attributes there are on the field.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so with my main going first combo, I can at least destroy 3 cards. Then for the level 7s, 1 Brave Neos. This card is great. Mostly I go for him when I use Neos Fusion. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can search any spell trap from your deck that lists Neos, so it's really nice for like follow-up. Then 1 Aqua Neos for your hand loop. Then 1 Air Neos for your UTK, because this card is crazy. 1 Grand Neos. Grand Neos is really nice. You can either get him out with your Flame Wingman or with your favorite with your instant contact. And your opponent has to react to his effect. This is what I really like. Like, imagine I play a card that released like over 20 years ago, and this card forces your opponent to do something, which is really nice. Then the 3 main boss monsters next to Shining Neos. 1 Nebula Neos, 1 Cosmo Neos, and the Wake Up. These guys I go into with him. So during my battle phase, like let's say I kill something, I can either go into him. He says, on summon, he does 2 effects on the same time. I draw the same amount of cards my opponent controls, and then negate non-target 1 card on the field my opponent controls. So it's really great, like to get your resources back from your deck or something, or like at least negate something that you don't like. And Cosmo Neo says, like, when this card is summoned, your opponent cannot activate any card effects until the end of the turn, which this card is basically a turn skip. And your opponent cannot respond to this card's activation. So when you resolve Grand Merchant's effect, this guy is for free. Like, this effect always comes through. And what is nice about these 2, because I cheated them out with Grand Merge. Both of these guys, they return at the end phase back to the extra deck, and they both trigger effect. This guy, when he goes back to the extra deck, he banishes everything on the field face down. And if this guy leaves the field, goes back to the extra deck, this guy destroys every card your opponent controls on target.
Oh, crazy.
So it's like both of those cards are like a free removal.
Yeah.
So like next turn you can OTK them again. And the Wake Up is really nice. Like, I rarely go into him, because when I need to go into him, it's like I really need to force an OTK, because he says like he needs 1 fusion elemental hero and 1 or plus warrior monsters. So if everything fails, if like my whole like extra deck is in the graveyard, I go into him, and he can attack like the same amount of times like for the fusion monsters you used. And he has the same effect like Shining Neos Wingman. When he destroys something, when he attacks something, he destroys the monster, and then he burns them. And if this card is destroyed by card effect, I think, yes, then you can special summon any warrior monster from your main deck. I either go for Stratos or for Shadow Mist to add the Spirit of Neos, because Spirit of Neos has also a very nice effect. When your opponent attacks you, you can special summon this card, in defense position, and this card cannot be destroyed by battle.
Oh, that's nice.
And this is a lingering effect that triggers in hand. So this, even if you negate this card's effect, this card still cannot be destroyed by battle. So if I go into Wake Up and my opponent destroys Wake Up, I at least have like one more turn if they don't get rid of him. So yeah. And for the last two cards is one Wonder Driver. This card is great. He recycles all of my fusion cards from grave when I summon a hero monster on the link zone. And the last extra deck card is Babushka. Because Babushka is really great when you get rolled. Like, your main starter next to this card is a Hero Lives. And let's say I activate Hero Lives. I special summon my E-Hero Stratos. And then I add an hero, right? And when they troll me, I cannot really play, like I cannot search anymore. But it really depends on my hand. But with Stratos I get like at least another hero card. And then summon the other level 4. Make like an XYZ, go for Babushka. And hope this will get me one more turn. But this comes up rarely. And then for my sideboard, I play one Hummingbird. This card won me 2 games. Unlike other people who play this card is in my engine. I can go into him with either this card, or this card. Because this card can special summon him out, this card can special summon him out, or this card can special summon him out. So this is like a free win if you are like in time situations. Then for the other monsters, I play just 3 hand traps, 3 draws for those combo heavy decks. Then 3 Cosmic Cyclones. This deck doesn't like back rows or like skill drains around that. I also play 1 Feather Duster. This card came in really clutch in game 3. And then my other board breaker is Wrath of Neos. This card is okay. What this card says is like you can target 1 elemental hero Neos, shuffle him back to the deck, and destroy the whole board.
Yeah, crazy.
This card is crazy, but it's really situational sometimes because it really depends. If your opponent can interact with your Neos on board, then this card is like a -1. But like if your opponent doesn't have anything, or you know your opponent doesn't have anything, this is like a free board wipe. Then for the other board breakers, 2 Evenly. Also really nice. Then 2 Impermanence. And the last 2 cards are 2 Rivalry. Also really good because your whole deck is warriors. Like for all the combo decks, like who likes to mix other engines. If you flip this one with your Shining Neos, it's like mostly game.
You want to show any combos?
Yes, of course.
Let's get into it.
So for combos, there are 2 main cards you want to see. Your best spell card and your other best spell card. So I show you the first best optimal way to go first or second. You start with Hero Lives, pay cost, special summon your Stratos. Effect of Stratos, you search your hero. Then it depends what your hand is. Like let's say if you have your Engage, you will get your Shadow Mist. Then you activate Engage New Space. You pitch for costs 1 hero from your hand or deck and 1 Neospatian from your hand or deck. Put them in the grave. Then special summon 1 level 7 elemental hero from your deck. You special summon out your Spirit of Neos. Then mandatory effect of Engage New Space. You will get your Poly from deck or graveyard. Then Chainlink 1 Spirit of Neos, Chainlink 2 Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist gets you 1 hero. you will get your Liquid Soldier in hand. And then it depends. If you're going first, I always opt for Power of the Elements, because this is your protection and this is your only negate for spell and traps, so your board don't gets wiped out, so you're safe. But if you're going second, you can go for Ian Shuffle or for instant contact, or basically anything that you need at the moment that you don't have. But let's say if you're going first, you go for your protection of the elements. So with this card only, you get like 3 free cards. Then you activate the second effect of Spirit of Neos. You shuffle this guy back to the extra deck. For the myth, the man, the legend, Neos! Then you use your Poly. You fusion summon your Neos, 1 vanilla, and 1 Liquid Soldier, 2 different attributes. And then you get your favorite hero, the new Flame Wingman Infernal Rage. Then you use Chain Link 1 or 2. You want to chain block his effect to get to your key card. You will get your Fairy Contact in hand. And then Chain Link 2 Liquid Soldier, because he was used for a fusion summon, you can draw 2 cards. It doesn't matter. And then put 1 back underneath your deck. Then if this card was used, fusion summoned by using a normal monster, which you use Neos, you contribute this card to special out any level 7 or lower elemental hero from your extra deck. And for going first, I either go for Aqua Neos for a hand loop, or if you don't have Miracle Fusion in hand, you go for your Sunrise. Effect of Sunrise, you get your Miracle Fusion. And then you use your Miracle Fusion. I always banish my Neos and my Liquid Soldier, because I want to save my Neos. Let's say they have something to banish him or put him back, then you cannot go to your big boss monster, so at least he's safe in the banish zone. And also for Bestial, they have only like 1 target left in grave for the Shadow Mist. And then if you use those 2, you go for your, where is he? Absolute Zero. These are banished, this is grave. And then you set your Fairy Contact and your Protection of the Elements, and you pass turn. And then you have to see what your opponent does. Like, this protects you for all spell traps that interferes your board. And if they establish a board first before they use their power spells, you can use Protection of the Elements, banish the Absolute Zero until the end of the turn, he comes back, and then trigger Absolute Zero, he clears the whole board, so all of the monsters, and you can negate the spell trap. Or if they're like really combo reliant for their small pieces, you have to find the choke point and then activate Fairy Contact. You can shuffle back underneath your deck from basically anywhere from hand, field, grave, banished. I fuse my Neos and my Flame Wingman, put them underneath the deck, and then I get out my Elemental Hero Shining Neos Wingman. And then he says, when he's special summoned, I can non-target pop as many cards as attributes are on the field. So I have wind, light and water. So from my side it's at least 3 free pops to interrupt. So if you're going second, you want to see Engage New Space and one of those 2 cards. Preferably Dark Blue No More, but Book of Moon also does the job. Let's say we go with Dark Blue No More. If they have like, I don't know, 12,000 Omni Negates on board, you just Dark Rule them. And then go into your main combo, like Pitch Shadow Mist and your Aqua Dolphin. Get your Spirit of Neos, effect Engage, you will get your Poly. trolley, then chaining 1, chaining 2. Always chain block them. You can either get like a Stratos with Shadow Mist because you haven't normal summoned yet, or get another Neos, or get a Liquid Soldier. And with Spirit of Neos going second, I either go with Ian Shuffle or Instant Contact. If this is in hand, and let's say you go with Stratos, and let's say you go with Ian Shuffle, then you do the effect of Spirit of Neos, you tag him back for your main guy, then you normal summon Stratos, effect of Stratos, you get your Neos alias or your Liquid Soldier. But let's say if you use Ian Shuffle, it doesn't really matter. If you get Ian Shuffle, it doesn't really matter which one you add first because you get the other one. So I get Liquid Soldier first. Then I fusion summon Liquid Soldier and Neos for my guy Flame Wingman. Effect of Flame Wingman, get your Fairy Contact in hand. Then effect Flame Wingman, get your Sunrise, effect of Sunrise, you get your Miracle Fusion. This is all you have in hand, by the way, like with at least 3 other cards. And then you use Ian Shuffle, shuffle the Stratos back into the deck. Then you go into your Neos alias. Now this is where the fun begins. You now have 2 vanilla monsters. You use Miracle Fusion. You fuse your Neos alias and your Neos. And then you go into your Elemental Hero Grand Merge. This guy is now at 3300 beat stick. On Dark Rule no more. But you don't really want to do damage. You just want to clear the board. Then you go to the battle phase, attack with Grand Merge, trigger Sunrise, pop something for free, and then this card kills something because everything is negated. He tributes himself for free, and then you can go into anything you really want. Like let's say if you have no cards in hand that you really need, you can go into your Nebula Neos, draw X amount of cards, or you can go into your Cosmo Neos to really lock them up so they can activate anything on board, or you can go into your Shining Neos to destroy everything. But let's say I go into Cosmo Neos to lock them out, and then I set my favorite contact, and then I just say simply end phase. This guy, because of his effect, he goes back to the extra deck, clears the whole board from my opponent, and then he has to go from there. And if he still have like, if my opponent has enough gas, I just activate Fairy Contact, I fuse my Neos and my Flame Wingman. They go back, so I can recycle them later to my Shining Neos, and I have a pop there. And keep in mind I still have at least, I don't know, 3 cards in hand just with this.
Alright, thank you so much for the combos, Philipp. Congrats once again for the top 4. Interesting deck you played. Do you want to do any shoutouts?
First things first, I want to shout out Michael Bowden, aka D-Time. For the Hero players out there, you know him. It's like one of the big Hero YouTubers out there. He really put Neos on the map in the tournament scene over in the US. And he really inspired me like to do my own variant. And I want to shout out my friends, I guess, that I playtested this deck. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Philipp. Thank you so much, and have a nice evening. Bye.
Peace.